My name is Priscilla Stole Ncube, known as Umastole. I'm a film producer, as well as a director of Ipaiscope Film Project. I established a film academy for young people where I train film and photography. I started the career in 1987 when I was still young. I started as an actress, then I moved to film. Also, I was the artistic director of Amakosi Theatre Production for 8 years.
My name is Nomvuyiso M. Mbofu Mavi. I started doing art at high school. Yeah, that was around 96, 94. That's when I started doing my art as a visual artist. But at the present moment, I'm a full-time actress. I started acting in I think it was 2006, around there. With acting, I've been managing before COVID because I can say maybe 3/4 of my jobs I was paid. If it was theatre, we used to make our money through gate takings. Then if it was film, maybe it would be a funded project, then we agree on a certain amount that I'll be getting for that film or for the character that I'll be playing. Yeah, so that's what I can say. Yeah.
My name is Messi Kayumba. I am the administrator for IASA. My role as an administrator spills to being the artist manager.
I do a lot of consultants. I work with a lot of organizations in terms of consulting in the media and film production. So I train a lot of young people, and also I do a lot of documentation. I document a lot of historical programs, historical events. So I've been able to sustain myself through film production as well as extended family.
Life before COVID at IASA, I should say life was fair. I cannot say life was perfect. Life gave us all that we wanted, but it was fair because I don't think there's anyone that has ever had enough. Everybody continues to dream. Everybody continues to wish for more. I think that's where the inspiration comes from. If you're saying you have got everything that you need in life, it means you stop thinking out of the box, you stop getting inspired because you will have got what you need in life. So life was fair. We could get jobs that were good enough to sustain us locally, and we definitely knew that say from December time is wedding time, and we could get maybe a week an average of 4 to 5 weddings, which is good enough.
When COVID-19 came in 2020, it came with the lockdowns, which affected many industries, but mostly the creative sector in Zimbabwe. Artists mainly rely on doing events, activities, and this means that crowds have to meet and gather. And because events will be happening, this is mainly the artist's main source of income. And COVID-19 came with the lockdowns, which meant that there was ban on activities. Artists didn't have access to rehearsal space. Artists could not work. That means that there was no income that they were generating. There are some artists and arts groups that mainly rely on doing tours, and the lockdown came with ban on travels, and that also affected the artist's income.
Our international tours would usually start beginning of March to mid-August every year. And we would tour most European countries, our best being Austria. So would tour countries like Germany, Czech Republic, most of the European countries we would tour, maybe go for festivals, maybe for a week or two, but our base has always been Austria, Vienna.
COVID-19 has been a hard year, in the sense that most of my paying jobs came from theatre. And you know, when we're doing theatre, we are dealing with audience. So since COVID came, we were not allowed to perform. The theatres were closed. So it was so difficult to make a living. We just had to shift from being an actress to try and do something else that was going to give me money to keep my family. It was so hard.
It's been difficult. This thing has affected artists so bad, financially and also psychologically. Even creative wise, it really has affected a lot of female artists, if we are to zero down to the female artist. Because most of the female artists are breadwinners. Some of them are single mothers. Some of them maybe they have maybe a mother that is looking forward to being supported by them, and some of them were raised by their grandparents, and they are the sole breadwinners of their families. So the fact that they are not having any income coming their way locally and internationally, it has really crippled them big time.
I think I've been affected by COVID emotionally and also physically and also psychologically. I'll start by saying emotionally, I lost my mom during the before COVID. Then when I started coming in to work, then there was the lockdown. I couldn't work. I was at home, working from home. I didn't generate any income, and my livelihood was affected. Emotionally, I was affected because most of the people, they look at us as our leaders, you know. Most of them, they were coming, phoning me and saying, Priscilla, I don't have food for my kids. I don't have this and that. And also, I couldn't afford to give someone food while I don't even have for myself. So it really affected me a lot. And then financially, I was at home sitting and I couldn't bring in income like what I do, because my income is from the documentation which I do. It's from the production of film. So I don't have any other income coming from anywhere.
Many females in the art sector are breadwinners, and a significant number are single mothers. So you can imagine the lockdown coming and basically cutting off their main supply of income. Also, female artists, or females in general, studies have shown that females earn less than their male counterparts. So if they are earning less, that means that they are able to save less. So with COVID-19 coming, that meant opportunities are lost. That meant that the little income that they had already was already stifled. It was greatly affected, and female artists were left at a serious disadvantage.
Here we are. I will go back before us getting to month-end March 2020. Here we are busy preparing for our international tours as usual. Rehearsals are running. And then we suddenly get calls from promoters abroad saying we might not have our 2020 tour. And we were like, okay, how so? And they tell us our schools are closed because most of our clients or our market is usually with school children, because we usually do children's theatre. So schools are closed, meaning even if we were to go to Europe, what were we going to do? Go to Europe and just sit, because the visas were already being processed. And so now we decided, okay, we just have to accept things as they are, cancel the tour. And it really hit most artists hard, because it's something that every artist, like all the touring artists, looked forward to. You'd work, make whatever income you make, but you knew, if I am to go on tour, I will bring something better to take care of my family, as I would do when I'm in Zimbabwe.
So I shifted as well, and then tried to do farming a bit, but I don't have land at the moment, so I've been like farming my herbs at home, putting different types of herbs for sale. Then I also did a bit of mining. I got a prospective license, so I'm still looking for a mine to start gold mining. But it is also challenging in terms of when you as a woman, when you go to a mining sector, coming from the industry which I am, it's difficult as a woman as well, because the women in the mining also have their own challenges. So I'm also facing two dilemma in the mining industry and in the film sector. So it's a really problem as a woman. First, it's a problem because I'm a woman. Second, it's a problem. This Zimbabwe economy is really going down, and I can't raise money. When you need money to take care of your kids, I'll tell you, for example, when I was looking after my mom, I used to every week I used to spend $20 for Pampers. I used to spend $20 for the past 1 year, 4 months. So I've been broke. I've been down emotionally. I've been down, physically. So that's the problem which women face in the industry.
It's not like it wasn't hard, but for you to survive, you just have to do something. I moved to the rural areas, then I did a little bit of farming and tried to do a little bit of mining. But it wasn't easy in mining, but I did manage to know how to differentiate what gold looks like and what not.
I think the status of women in the arts is really pathetic, because we still have a patriarchal system in the industry where our male counterparts are dominating. And at the moment, current as I'm speaking, because of COVID as well, most of women are working from homes, or from their homes, because they don't have spaces to work from. A lot of spaces in the cities, a lot of spaces in the country are male dominated, and at the end of the day we have programs being designed for women instead of programs from women. And most of these organizations are led by our male counterparts, like the directors, the most of the decision making is really in the hands of our male counterparts. So we have really a problem, a challenge as women in the arts. I think what we need to do is really to change the status quo of the whole setup of this art industry. We have been trying really to lobby the government to come up with programs from women, but we are then seeing it's not happening because they are not putting up money, resources for women. They are not even putting up like capacity building funding for women to then further their arts career. So we have really a problem in the arts industry.
I think we don't have a voice. There is a certain line that when you get it, no matter how hard you try to cross the line, there are certain people at that area that make it so difficult for you to prove yourself that you are able to do that. It becomes so hard. So I think our voice is not heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really don't know how I can put this across, but I am usually for women doing things for themselves.
We have a serious challenge in terms of we have our male counterparts really like sabotaging us, female artists. But why am I saying that? If you start like questioning some of the things which they are doing, like gender-based violence in the film industry, in the sector, if you start questioning, so why are you doing this? At the end of the day, you then invite even guma workshops. You are no longer invited. You will be sidelined. Because uthanda ukukhuluma uzananzelela. This is very bad. I think as I'm a female artist, I will talk. I don't care whether you sideline me, whether you do what, I'll be still talking about it, discrimination in the art industry.
I think there are certain projects that you just have to involve women. No matter what, just involve them and see if it is a mess, let them do the mess alone. Then from there, I think we would have a point to begin at than to involve men in a women's project. At the end of the day, they are all going to dominate the project and take over everything. So I think if we do it that way, we're going to cross the line.
Why must they be given special treatment when things turn otherwise? On the other hand, they have always been the vulnerable gender. So maybe because of that, they can get assistance, but the assistance must be first vetted, if I should say. Like, you cannot just give assistance to everyone, somebody that is not trying. So assistance must be given to those that are doing something, those that are trying, not those that are just sitting and relaxing and hoping manna will come from heaven and rescue them because they are women.
In my opinion, in terms of interventions, there was talk of the COVID relief fund that was supposed to be availed to artists who applied. But in my opinion, I feel that a relief fund is not what artists needed. A more permanent or a more long-term solution was needed, a more long-term intervention. For example, the government can avail loans or grants where female artists can apply and receive money to maybe finance projects that they would want to do that are outside the creative sector, seeing as the sector as we speak right now is still shut down?
I think it's a joke because some of us we are regarded as anti-government. When you start to question some of the things which the government is doing, you are then labeled as anti-government. So I did apply. I applied as personally, I applied for my organization, but I haven't received anything up to date.
I managed to get my COVID money, but I think it came, I wouldn't say it came late, or it didn't push me much, yes, because the amount, I wouldn't go for a month with that amount, according to the cost of living that we are having, because we've got so many things that need money. We've got rent, we've got family, we've got fees, things like that. So that money didn't really make a difference, but it was just a cushion, but I didn't feel the comfort in it.
We never received it, although we did apply for it.
So I'm hearing some of the people received the money, and I don't know how they were selecting, because when we heard that there was 2 million for Bulawayo and the people who applied were 189. Out of 189, if you are giving 5,500 an individual, it doesn't amount to 2 million. What happened to the other money, the other remaining money? So I think the government should really Delela Reston. I think the government has Delela as artists. If they don't, they promise us and they don't give us that money, and they expect to at the end of the day we are then told imali. We are hearing stories that others have received. How did they select? And some of us we haven't received anything. And it's unfortunate, really, if the government of Zimbabwe is still doing that. Then what about us? If the gold is rusting, what about us, the iron?
At one point, there was an article that was saying there were some scandals around the application forms that people were completing for those funds, applying for those funds. Some were putting their spouses that are not even in the arts industry, and then everything went silent when it was said they are looking into the matter, they are trying to investigate what's happening or what happened, and after that
we shouldn't wait for the relief funds, because that's like I said earlier, it's a short-term solution. So we need to have come up or formulate or create opportunities for ourselves that are long-term, even outside of the creative sector, so that we are not found on the disadvantaged side.
We have a government which want women to dance for them. We have a government which want women to model in front of them and then start talking bad about women. We have a government which is really not taking care of artists. Look at South Africa. People have, during COVID, artists were paid and they received imali. So why not us in Zimbabwe? I'm not happy about this, really. I'm disappointed, really disappointed.
As an actress, maybe for the beginning, as an actress, I think we can have like projects where we are funded for our plays or our short films. Those projects be funded and we get paid for them, then we submit them and then they have the ownership. I think it's a beginning, because this year has been so terrible. And then as a mother, I don't know. because
we have been lobbying the government for the past 30 years, talking about the same things every day. I feel the government should set up a commission fund, like where women filmmakers or women female artists could access that fund. Like what South Africa does, there are commissions where you access funding. But in Zimbabwe, there's nothing like that. They should also set up female spaces where it's environmental, women friendly, where women can be trained, capacitated in terms of training in the filmmaking training or theater training. So I think the only way to go is really to resource mobilization. The government is the culprit to mobilize that. We need government. We need government. All the countries, like in America, Hollywood is sustained by the governments. So even other NGOs could come in, but the government is the first to really put up money for the development of the industry.
Artists are just artists. We just need, if there is a fund, the fund must be for everyone, but the distribution must be fair.
We need to learn to have alternative income streams, or to have multiple income streams, because when the lockdown came, all of us were unprepared. All of us, we didn't have long-term plans, because we had planned for 2020 under normal circumstances. But when the lockdown in COVID-19 came, many of us were affected greatly, because we didn't have any other source of income besides what we were receiving or getting from the creative sector. Before COVID-19 happened, the world had already gone digital, but here in Zimbabwe, I think it's something that we took long to embrace, or didn't feel that we needed to embrace at the time. But digital platforms is the way to go right now. So my encouragement is that female artists need to create digital platforms and make sure that content is available on those digital platforms, so that when things normalize, they are not forgotten. They've been doing work and people can still refer to their work. There's the issue of monetizing the platforms. I feel like that's a sort of like a long-term goal. For now, what's important is to keep the audiences, to give them the content, to constantly give them content, so that you are not forgotten. So then you can still then work on monetizing the content. And digital platforms have an advantage, because you get to reach a much wider audience, a much wider market than the one that you would normally reach if you were even putting up a physical show.
So I don't know whether we are really going to make it through. We are really going to pick ourselves up from this COVID era. It's not going to be an easy road.